Welcome to the $1 Million Groove Podcast. This is episode 1, and we've been away for a little bit, but we do have our reasons, and we're here with Joe. Joe is looking better than ever. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you, bro. Happy to be back.
Tell us where you've been, man.
Yeah, I've been on the journey.
Last time I saw Joe, he had about 14 tubes coming out of every hole of his body.
Yeah, man, it's been a ride, but blessed to be alive, blessed to be here.
Let's start from the beginning, because about, a month and a half ago, was it?
Yeah, so September 29th, I was in the hospital, and then I was there for a month. But we got to fast forward all the way back to Thanksgiving 2022. I was rushed to the hospital by ambulance on Thanksgiving Day, so didn't get to have any Thanksgiving dinner. No. Actually ate hospital food. That was terrible, but that's a whole other story. Yeah, rushed to the hospital. I couldn't breathe. Thought it was COVID related, but it actually wasn't. When I got there, my sodium levels were depleted. Had a lot of fluid on my body. So basically, I guess I was drowning.
In your own lungs.
Yeah, in my own body, right? So, yeah, so long story short, the cardiologist comes in and she says, you have heart failure. So I'm like, oh, man, okay.
What was your weight at the time?
I was probably around 240 pounds.
240, okay.
Yeah, I was working out. I was doing a lot of working out earlier that year, so I had gotten my weight down. I think I might have been probably around 230 because earlier that year I was 250. So had just had my son. He's going to be 2 in February now. So, and again, that was November of last year. So basically the doctor says I have heart failure. I think I was there for probably a week or so. They did some tests, kind of, all the tests were pointing to congestive heart failure. They said my ejection fraction was 15%. If you don't know what that is, that's basically the rate at which your heart is functioning at. And this is the left side of the heart. So my right side was good. The left side wasn't, basically. So fast forward, that was the first time I was hospitalized. I ended up getting out of the hospital, going back to the hospital again on December 31st. So New Year's Eve. So all the holidays, man, I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
That sucked. Luckily, I wasn't in the hospital on my birthday, which is January 8th. So a few days later, was my birthday. I didn't stay in the hospital that long. I think I got out of the hospital the 5th. And then I went to the Raiders football game, saw Patrick Mahomes and all that. So that was cool.
Nice.
But yeah, the rest of the year was rocky, man. I couldn't work, couldn't breathe. I was always told, I was being told a lot that I was really sick. My heart was weak. So I kept hearing that basically the whole year. That was the information that was being pushed on me was that I was sick. My heart was weak. You have heart failure. You're going to die. You could die in your sleep. You're sick. Did we tell you you're sick? Hey, bud, did you know you were sick? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's that constant, rehearsal of
it's almost sick. Making you believe that.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're being brainwashed to believe that you're sick. I know my body's not functioning, the way it should be, but man, it's something about being brainwashed, pushing. It's when you start to believe that, bro, your body starts to
you
follow
start to feel
what you
there's
believe.
No hope.
Yeah.
Something.
And it can put you into a depression. Luckily, I didn't get depressed, but it just, man, it was hard on my wife. It was to the point where it's so bad that my wife was hearing all the same information, and she'd wake up in the middle of the night to make sure I was still breathing because, we were being told that I could die in my sleep. It was bad, bro, for a whole year, So fast forward, I get out of the hospital in January. I don't go back into the hospital again until July. So I had a little bit of time where it felt like my body was kind of healing. I was still having issues with breathing. I was coughing up blood. It was bad, man. My life was not good. It's just I couldn't sleep. Kind of had insomnia.
Apnea type of thing?
Because you can't lay down. If your body's holding fluid and you have it in your lungs, you feel like you're drowning. You can't lay down, you can't sleep. So there were nights where I didn't sleep, bro. My wife would come downstairs and she'd be like, yo, did you go to bed? Nah, just up watching TV. And so I think there was a point where I didn't sleep for a whole week and then I ended up being hospitalized. It was stuff like that, man. So I ended up back in the hospital in July. Same situation. Same diagnosis. I was there for like a week again, got out, was hospitalized again in August. Same situation, there for like a week, got out. And then the big one was this past September, where it was September 29th, went to the hospital, same situation, retaining fluid, couldn't breathe. I was at San Antonio Hospital for 2 weeks. I was in the hospital total for a whole month. 2 weeks at San Antonio, they put me on this drug called milrinone. So at this point, my heart was at a place where it was kind of like life support. Like I couldn't function on my own is basically what I was being told. So they put me on this drug. The drug is sustaining you and basically keeping you alive is,
You said this drug is called milrinol?
Milrinol, yeah.
Milrinol, okay.
So I was on that drug 2 weeks. I'm chilling in the hospital. They got all this stuff attached to me. I'm actually in the ICU unit for cardiovascular. So it's not like, it's intensive care, but it's for, the cardiovascular unit. I was there, the cardiologist comes in. Now they're talking procedures, they're talking like...
Really quick. So what was your weight now at this point?
At this point, I was probably like 180 pounds.
So you went from around 240, 250 to around 180 pounds?
Yeah. So when I went into the hospital this September, I was like 180 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm on the drug. Again, doctors are pumping me with all this fear, like, hey, man, you're sick. Your heart's weak. It's bad. You could die. The only reason why you're alive is because you're on this drug. So I'm like, all right, bro. So they start, talking different procedures. Like they wanted to put this thing called the mitral clip in my heart. Mm-hmm. It would basically be for my heart valves, because they were saying my one of my valves were weak, and that was probably the cause of why I was having fluid reverse back into my lungs. So basically, when you have your heart, it's functioning correctly. It pumps blood and then it pumps it to the rest of the organs of the body and it goes. Well, in this case, I was being told that one of my valves was weak. So because it was weak, this clip would help to seal the valve and then, make it so that, fluid and blood wouldn't go reverse back into my lungs. So I wasn't really up to doing the procedure, but they were pushing it on me like, yo, you need to do it. Which
hospital are you at this point?
This is at San Antonio.
San Antonio. And so then they suggest that they're going to transfer you.
Right. So they can't do the procedure there. So they were like, yo, we're going to transfer you to UCLA Medical Center. So the reason why I was there for 2 weeks was because it took a long time for them to find availability at UCLA because they were at capacity because there was just a lot going on at the hospital.
Yeah.
So I didn't have like a room or anything. So waited 2 weeks. Finally, they transfer me. I get to UCLA. Now, UCLA is not going to just take the information from San Antonio and what this cardiologist says. They're going to do their own tests. And, so I was like, cool. And that kind of gave me peace of mind because I was like, well, at least I get a second opinion on what's being told. So I get to UCLA. First night was cool. The food was actually pretty cool.
Not just like bacon and cheese.
Nah, it was actually,
You're in heart failure. Here, have some bacon.
They weren't feeding me bacon. I don't eat bacon, so Okay. But yeah, man. So get to UCLA. First night, they give me like this gourmet vegan dinner, which is what I ordered. And enjoyed the night, slept good. Was kind of nervous, I'm not gonna say I was nervous. I was actually scared. Like I was just kind of terrified, but whatever. Doctor comes in the next morning. Actually, the doctors introduced themselves the night I got there. The next morning they come in, they tell me what they're gonna do. So it was a bunch of tests and like, ultrasounds, chest x-rays, multiple ultrasounds actually. Just tests. So that day, second day was a bunch of testing. Third day, the team comes in. So like, at UCLA, it's like these bigger hospitals, like they come in with like teams of doctors. So it can kind of be a little intimidating, especially when you're already on the scared side and you don't know what's happening.
There's typically a head doctor and then like the students.
15 people walk in the room like, hey, I'm so-and-so. And it's
so you're waking up like this every morning with all these doctors staring at you.
Yeah, bro. So it's kind of intense. And, if you're not used to that, it's scary. I wasn't used to it. So I'm kind of terrified. So the doctors come in. Head cardiologist is like, Yeah, so we did all the tests, and I kind of cut her off. I said, hey, so where are we at with the procedure I was, transferred here for? And so she's like, I said, yeah, the mitral clip. And so she's like, they're like, you don't need that. So I'm like, I don't?
Yeah.
And so she's like, no, you're good. Like your valves are fine. She's like, your heart is just weak. She's like, so, if at every point your heart strengthens, the valves will strengthen as well. And I said, oh, okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking, cool.
Yeah.
We got a miracle. Like I'm going home. Right.
Yeah.
And so it didn't go that way, man. It like went downhill from there. And it wasn't because like I was deteriorating or anything. It was just, well, maybe I was, I don't know, but it was just like the information that was coming. It was nothing I've ever experienced, At this point, from that point on, it went from, you're good. We don't have to do anything under that procedure, but we do want to consider you for a heart transplant. So at that point, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
And so when they started talking heart transplant, I was like, I don't know, man. It was kind of, it's like one of those speechless moments, and you're sitting there in your room, because there's, I had a lot of family around me. My dad came down a lot, like every other day. We always watch football together. So he'd come down on the days that the football game was on. So that was like our day. My mom was there, sister, wife, aunts, grandma, it was uncle, like it was everybody. You came down, you know what I'm saying? So that was a blessing. But then you have those moments when you're in your room by yourself and there's nobody there. And after that moment where they were like, yeah, we're going to work you up for a possible heart transplant. And I'm like, possible. So it's just like, how possible are we talking? So now and they're like, oh, like more than likely, this is direction. And then this is what was told to me, which put me in a whole nother space. Cause I was confused. I was like, I wasn't transferred here for this. And so basically they were like, yeah, I was like, so isn't that like the last option? And they were like, no, you only have like 2 options. They were like, best case scenario, you're going home with a nurse and you're going home with that drug you're on with an IV in your arm. And
what, just a wait to die at that point?
Yeah. And I said, so can this drug help me get better? Like, am I going to go home and get better and then not have to be on it anymore? Oh no, Mr. Valerie, that drug doesn't make you, that drug just keeps you alive. And then when it doesn't work anymore, you come back here and we do a heart transplant. Bro, let me tell you, man, I don't know how to express scared. Your boy was terrified. Like I was like, on the inside, I was not good.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man, that's a hard thing to explain, but I can tell you this. I was in the room one night, and I was not one night, multiple nights after that, because it was like, you're just chilling, and all you have at that moment, that's all you're thinking about. You're just pondering on that. You're not thinking about anything else, And like I said, it was really scary, and I was really shocked and speechless, and I didn't really know, I didn't know what to do. Except for what I knew to do, which was, depend on my faith, which is God, back, just kind of give a little information on my background. I'm a Christian and my father's a pastor. I was raised in the church. So, faith, God, Jesus, all those things are important to me. Like that's the foundation of who I am and where, what I believe in.
Yeah.
And so when you get that kind of news and you're in that situation, you can only depend on what you have to depend on. And that's what I had. Mm-hmm. And, I think the biggest thing for me was you have to make when you find yourselves at these crossroads, you have to make a decision on what you're going to believe. Like the whole year I was told I was sick. Now I could make a choice to believe that, or I could believe that I'm healed. The healing may not have come yet, but that's what I chose to believe. And in that moment, after being told, these were your options, I could have surrendered to just, follow what was told to me and believe that, or I could believe that God could heal me. And so I made a decision to believe that. And it didn't happen until maybe like 2 days after I was told that information. You know, I had a conversation with my wife. I said, hey, this is what.
These are our options.
These are our options.
Yeah.
Well, these are the options that they're giving to us,
you.
Right. Yeah. But here's my option. Here's option 3, the option that has not been spoken about, right?
Here's the option I made.
Yeah, here's the option I'm with, like I agree with, right? And that option was not an option from a medical standpoint. That was not an option.
Yeah.
That option for me was, I'm going to walk out of the hospital on my own 2 feet. You're going to give me some vitamins. You're going to give me very minimal medication. I'm not going to be on it for long. And I'm going to go back to my life. And everything's going to be good. That wasn't an option, bro. The doctors were like, yeah, right, Mr. Valerie. bro, like they were like, that's not possible. And I asked, they said, that's not possible. There's no way that you're sick. You're very sick. Your heart's weak. Yeah. You're going to die. Did we tell you you're going to die tomorrow? You're sick. Did we tell you how sick you were? You're really sick. So I'm like, all right, man. So again, in my personal time at the hospital, I was praying. I go on these little walks, and during that time, I just pray to myself.
And you're out pacing the nurses, right?
With the nurse, yeah, exactly. I'm like, the nurse and I are walking around.
They're out of breath. You're like,
they're out of breath.
About to jog another mile.
I'm chilling. I'm like, yo, y'all want to go another lap? They're like, nah, fam, we good.
They're all sweating.
Yeah, they're all sweating and not, So, but yeah, man, I was in my room, and it just hit me, bro. It was like, nah, this is not how this is going to go down. And, I really think it was God, just comforting me in that moment. It's like, nah, this is not what I have for you. I know this is what you're being told, but this isn't what I got, And like I said, bro, there comes a time where you're tested and you got to make a decision. Like, for me, it was like, okay, you have 2 decisions. You're either going to believe what they told you and make a decision.
Mind you, I'm going to interject really quick because everything they've been telling you has been shifting left and right this entire time, right?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of consistency. The only thing that they were consistent on was like pushing this agenda. Like, I think, that, the heart transplant is something we really want to.
What's the insurance payment on that?
I have no idea, fam. I know the procedure is
upward,
like $1 million.
It's almost $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
That's why they had to like contact my insurance, make sure I qualified, Yeah. I was like, look, this is not happening. So, like I said, man, you're in this situation, it's terrifying. And I had to make a decision. I'm either going to believe what the doctor said, or I'm going to believe that God is who he says he is. His word is what it says it is. And I can believe that, or I cannot. It's just a choice.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, as Christians, we have a crossroad, where things are going good, and we think God is with us when things are good. But then when things are bad, sometimes it feels like he's not with us, And I was there, I felt like it was really quiet, I had this conversation with a pastor friend of mine. He was like, yo, man, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing good. He's like, no, I'm not asking like how you're doing, like physically, like you look good. He was like, how have you been, bro? Like, where are you at? Where's your mind? How have you been spiritually? I'm like, great question, man. I was like, I think I'm good, but I just don't hear the Lord. I don't feel like God's with me. Like I'm going through all this stuff, and I got to a place where, everybody gets here when it's like super hard, really tough time, you're like, God, why me? Like, why am I here? Why, And then when I started to ask those questions, man, things began to shift, and I started to think, well, why not me? Why not now? Like, why not this situation? There's a scripture in the Bible that says to count it all joy in various trials and temptations, like in various trials and hardships and things that you go in. Basically, be excited, about those times, like when you face these trials and times, like have a heart of like joy and excitement, like, and that's like complete opposite. Like when you think about that, like nobody wants to be excited about getting a bad diagnosis and having heart failure, but that's what the Bible says. It says to count it all joy. right? And again, that's a choice. It's not easy. Like, that's not something you just, hey, bud, you got heart failure. You're going to die, dog. Like, you're just like, that doesn't happen, fam. So it's like, you count these opportunities as joy because God is with us at all times, right? Even when it feels like he's not. So, like I said, man, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like God was with me this year. Most of the year I didn't. It didn't, God, that feeling or that presence and that like knowing didn't really show up until the last month of this past month, like September to October.
Here's the wild thing is that all of these diagnoses that you've been getting, diagnoses, I don't know, look at you now. Like how are they explaining this?
They're not. And that's the thing, man. Like, so basically to finish the story, they told me best case scenario, you're gonna go home on a pump on this drug milrinone with an IV in your arm, and you'll have a nurse by your side at all times. You'll be assigned a nurse. And they told me life as you know it won't be the same. And so I had a joke with my boy and I said, could you imagine that, fam? Like, I'm a drummer. I was like, so I'm gonna be on drums. My nurse is gonna be chilling. I'm gonna have the IV right here. I'm like, yo, can you back up a little bit and get these chords? Cause it's on my hi-hat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm getting it in and the nurse is like, could you imagine that?
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying? I gotta like take breaks cause I'm out of breath.
Yeah.
Like, I had these images, bro. I'm like, man, so how am I gonna play drums? So, how am I got a 2-year-old son. He's gonna be 2 in February. How am I gonna play with my son? Bro, all this stuff, this was, bro, it was deep. Like, man, it really scared me. Like, it was like, whoa, you're not, when they said life as you know it won't be the same. Yeah, it was like, I'm not gonna be able to play with my son. I'm not gonna be able to play drums. I'm just gonna be chilling on the couch.
Yeah.
With some cute nurse, you know what I'm saying? and the IV. Yeah, man, and so you get these images and they start to paint in your brain and it just produces more fear. And in all of that, bro, you have to make a decision. God is either who he says he is or he's not. And I chose to believe he's who he says he is. And his word is what it says. And I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I believe. And so basically, when my mind shifted and I came to that place where I was like, God, I literally in prayer, I was like, I was sitting in my room. It was dark. I was alone. My family had just left. It was time for me to go to bed. And it just hit me. I was like, I'm not doing none of this. I said, Lord, you're either going to heal me or I'm going to die. Those were the two choices. I said,
think about your option actually to be stuck with this IV in your arm on milrinone. That's actually death.
Yeah, that was death alone. And I didn't ask to be put on this drug. They just put me on the drug. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So yeah, I said, look, these are the options. You're either going to heal me or I'm going to die. So I'm good with that. And that's what it's going to be. But you're not taking my heart, and I'm not going home with a nurse, and we're not doing that. So I had that conversation with God and I said, I believe that you can heal. And I've been raised on this all my life. This is what I believe. I still believe it now at 39 years old. And I don't believe it's my time to go. And that's where I stood, bro. And I had that conversation with my wife. My wife was like, for sure, let's do it. Right. And the next day, the doctors come in. It's a Monday. Okay. This is like the last week of my stay.
Yeah.
The doctors come in, they have a whole agenda, they're doing all their tests. They got what they want to do. They figured out, these were the two options. They're sure on what they told me. And they're like, so they come in 15 doctors Monday morning. It's like 6:30 a.m. They weigh me first, then the team comes in and they start, prepping to talk about whatever it is they have to share with me. The head cardiologist comes in and he starts talking like, yeah, man. So again, you're sick. Things look bad. It's not looking good. Your numbers are looking okay. Like your numbers are great, but your heart is still weak. Like, you're not. So I said, hey, doc, I don't mean to cut you off, bud, but I'm going home on Thursday. And they were They were like, Mr. Valerie, that's not possible. There's no way you could go home on Thursday. Now, mind you, I forgot to tell this part. They put a catheter in my neck, and this catheter was able to determine the pressure and how well my heart functioned and what the pressure readings were while I was in the hospital. And so the way they did that was the catheter goes into your neck, and there's a cord,
like an IV.
Yeah, an IV or whatever, goes into your heart, and it tests the pressure.
Yeah.
And the way they test the reading is they pump cold water into your heart, and that cold water obviously gets hot once it enters the body because the body's warm.
So it's like timing the amount of time it takes to get through your body.
They do that every hour. For the 2 weeks that I was there, they did it every hour each day. And all my readings were good, right? So Monday, doctors come in, proceed to tell me what their plan is. I cut them off because I don't care what their plan is. I got my own plan. I told you I had already made my decision. I said, hey, man, I'm going home on Thursday. They all look at me like I'm crazy. There's no way you're going home on Thursday. I said, no, there is. I'm going to put my clothes on and I'm going to walk out of here on Thursday. They're like, Mr. Valerie, you're sick, man. There's no way you could do that. Like, your heart is super weak, bro. Like, it's a bad look. And I said, I don't care how it looks. This is what we're going to do. I'm going home on Thursday. So they were like, well, how are you going to do that? I said, look, this is what you're going to do. You're going to put me on very minimal medication. I said, then you're going to give me vitamins, potassium, magnesium, multivitamins, stuff of that nature, calcium. I'm going to put my clothes on. I'm going to walk out here on my own 2 feet, and I'm going to go home. That's not possible, Mr. Valerie. You're on a drug called miraculous, and your heart is dependent on that, so we can't take you off of it. No, you can do exactly what I said. You can take me off the drug. I said, I want to be taken off of miraculous. I said, I want to be put on minimal medication, vitamins, and I'm going home on Thursday. Mr. Valerie, I mean, we can attempt to take you off, but you're more than likely, you're going to crash and burn. You're going to, it's not going to work. Like, we're going to end up having to put you back on, and you're going to go home on the pump, like we said, on the miraculous, and then you'll be back here later when it doesn't work, and we'll just do the procedure.
Yeah.
Heart transplant. And so I said, no, I'm not getting a heart transplant. I didn't ask you to work me up for that. I'm not going home with a nurse or a pump or miraculous. We're going to do exactly what I told you to do. So it just kept going back and forth. Finally, they said, all right, Mr. Valerie, we'll do exactly what you say because that's what we have to do. But again, we're warning you, it's not going to work. I said, bet. So, yeah, man. So they take me off the drug. So the doctor said, I need more time. He's like, man, it's not enough time. Like, we have to monitor you off of the drug. Like, it's just not enough time. I said, take me off the drug. I'm going home on Thursday. I had to keep saying it like 10 times. Mr. Valerie, it's just not going to work. I said, look, fam, I didn't ask you whether it was going to work, right? So finally, they agreed to take me off the drug. This is like Monday night. I'm off the drug. So they take everything out, right? No IV, no nothing. Actually, I'm sorry. They had to take me down in increments. So I was on, like, let's say I'm on like
they had to just
one,
wean
like
you
1%,
off.
yeah, to 1% to 0.5, and then 0.5 to 0.25, and then 0.25 to 0. Mm-hmm. So they did that over the course of like a couple days or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So by Tuesday night, I was completely off the drug. Now I told this guy I'm going home on Thursday. He's saying he needs a week or so to monitor me, off the drug. I didn't give him that. I said, you got 3 days, bro. So for 3 days, I'm chilling off the drug. I'm eating, watching football. I'm chilling. They coming in, checking the numbers. The numbers are still good, right? Like, wow, his numbers are great. I'm like, yes, they are. Can you give me another turkey sandwich, please? Like, I was chilling, had cookies. Bro, if you're ever at UCLA Medical Center, there is this shop called Insomnia Cookies, bro. They have gluten-free vegan cookies. So I have a gluten allergy. Uh-huh. Amazing. Amazing. Chocolate chip cookies. And they're always like warm and fresh. It's like you walk in there, they just got them. You know what I'm saying? Your boy was in there killing boxes of cookies, though. So it was so bad. Just to give you an idea, it was so bad that my weight got down to 165 pounds. Bro, I've never been 160. I don't think I was 165 pounds when I was born. It's not possible, right? So I was in there eating because I was trying to put back on the weight because I was just getting your body. Your boy was deteriorating, man. Like my body was like, I was unrecognizable. I was 165. I hadn't seen myself in the mirror for like a month. I got up to go to the bathroom, saw myself in the mirror, almost fell over. I was like, who is this guy?
That's
It was terrible, man. I looked like a skeleton.
man.
So yeah, getting back to the story, man. I was eating cookies, chilling. Thursday comes, doctors come in. They're like, "Well, Mr. Valerie, the numbers are looking amazing, man. Yeah, we didn't see this coming." I said, "Yeah, I know you didn't see it coming." I said, "I didn't see it coming either. It was me believing that God was going to sustain me in the decision that I thought He put it on my heart to make." And yeah, it went exactly how I prayed for it to go. I ended up getting up on my own 2 feet, walking out of the hospital with very little medication, vitamins. And we walked out of the hospital, bro. I went to Burger Lounge, had a burger, had another box of insomnia cookies. Your boy was celebrating like I was good. And I never had any symptoms since I've been out of the hospital. And so, you know.
How long have you been out of the hospital for?
It's probably been like 2 or 3 months, 2 months, 2 months maybe, almost 3 months.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, like, you know, so the moral of the story is, do I believe it was a miracle? Yes. You know, do I believe God heals? Yes. Do I believe God healed me? Absolutely. You know, do I believe God is real? Yes, I do. Some people don't believe He's a healer. Some people don't believe He's, He's real. You know, you have some Christians that don't believe, you know, He's still healing today. Like that's something He did in the past. And that's cool. Like, you know, we can all believe what we want to believe. I'm not here to, you know, but I'm just here to share my testimony is what we say in the church.
No, it's an amazing story. And how are you doing like right now? Like,
I feel great, bro. I feel better than I felt the year prior to this happening. Like,
yeah, you were bad, man. I remember talking to you. You didn't even sound like yourself.
No, yeah, I was coughing every day. Like I couldn't even hold a conversation. I couldn't breathe. Like,
yeah, it's terrible.
It was terrible, man. But, you know, like I said, man, like, I guess if I was to, you know, like give an encouraging word to someone, I guess it would be, you know, when you find yourself in these types of situations, you know, where it's kind of like life or death, and you're hitting that crossroad where you think, is God real? You know, is all the stuff that I've been taught all these years, you know, is that stuff real? I think you just have to first, believe that God is with you at all times, you know, no matter the circumstance. You know, He's sovereign. He's always with us, man. He's with us when things are terrible. He's present in that, you know. He may be quiet, but He's present. He sees everything, you know. He's present in the good things too. You know, it's easy to be in the good things because it's always good. You know, you enjoy that. And you're not thinking about bad because you're in good. But when you're in bad, you're thinking about good because it's not there. You know what I'm saying? And so for me or for someone in that situation, it's just make it up in your mind that God's present at all times, you know, and that He's with you, because He is. It's not a cliche thing to say, oh, God's with me. No, He's with you, bro. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid to believe for things that sound ridiculous. You know, like when I made the decision to, you know, leave the hospital and, like, you know, the way things went, I mean, I didn't do that from an arrogant, unsure, you know, I was confident. It was like, yo, man, I'm standing on this, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I believe. So it's going to happen. Like, it was just that, like, you know, it was just kind of that energy. It was like, and I say, have that kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be afraid to believe for things that may sound ridiculous, especially when you're being told it's not possible. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and to believe for it to be as the reality,
exactly.
not like in the future, I hope I get better, but
absolutely
to believe that.
Yep.
It's really interesting because you look at, even with placebos, just that power of belief, You know, you're still getting results with 20 to like 30% of people that take a placebo.
Yeah.
It's a powerful thing, man.
Yeah.
And,
it is, man.
Yeah, that's wild. So that's basically, we've been a little quiet lately.
Yeah, that's the reason why I've been quiet. And
we're back.
Yeah, your boy's been in the hospital. I mean, chilling.
Do you want to spend 2 seconds to talk about just what this is and $1 Million Groove, the MDG podcast, all that good stuff?
Yeah, man. So $1 Million Groove is a clothing brand. We started this in like 2019.
Yeah.
So we sell clothing, really cool clothing. So everything's like heavy garments, you know, like sweats, trucker hats. Nice plug.
Yeah. Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cool shirts.
Look at this, man. Like, this is one of my favorite shirts we have, honestly.
Yeah.
The man who's given so much of himself, and yet he's still giving to someone that's nearly full. I don't know if you can see.
For sure.
This is my favorite shirt that we have, actually.
That shirt's fire.
But yeah, so this podcast is basically going to be, this is kind of our introductory show, and we plan to continue to do these, and we
wanted something to kind of simultaneously. We
want to talk about art. We want to talk about culture.
Yeah.
We want to talk about
clothing
life experience, and it's not all going to be, you know,
dark and deep.
Yeah, dark and deep. Like we're gonna have some fun guests on here, and
well, here's another about the brand.
Oh yeah.
So we started the brand. Obviously, just to give a little backstory. Kyle and I are both musicians. If you didn't know, at heart, we went to music school together.
Yeah.
And then from that experience and relationship growing, I had an idea to start a clothing brand. I've always been into clothing. Yeah, love clothes, love sneakers, bags, watches. I mean, I'm all about it. I'm all about everything.
Yeah, this guy has every nice piece of clothing. He and I are honestly kind of opposite.
We are completely opposite. If you go in my closet, you'll shop for a week. If you go in Kyle's closet, you'll walk out. Yeah. Yeah. So you know, we're opposite, but we're not. Like, you know, Kyle's very artistic. He took a lot of art classes. He paints.
I'm just one of those guys that's like minimal. Like if I got a white shirt, black pants, I'm totally chill.
Kyle's always in like sandals.
No.
jeans.
No. I don't wear sandals.
You don't wear sandals anymore?
You cannot fight in sandals.
That's right. Kyle doesn't wear sandals, but he's in like.
You never know when you're gonna have to get into a battle.
He's in a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt like most of his life.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Me, I'm not that guy. So I'm in everything. And so we're a little bit different, but we both came together and thought this idea to create a clothing brand was a great idea. And so we just jumped out and did it. And when I came up with the idea to start a clothing brand, I really wanted the brand to mean something, and to kind of, you know, inspire people to go after whatever God put in themselves, you know, like.
Find your rhythm and own it.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, I think God gives us all gifts, and it's our responsibility to nurture those gifts. And sometimes we find ourselves in places where, you know, we may not be sure about the gift we have, or we think it's not cool, or nobody's going to like it. You know, all these things that go in our head. And I personally think, you know, you should just jump out and do it and see what happens. And so that's kind of how I live my life. I just jump out and do it, dog, you know, and see what happens. And so, yeah, so that's kind of how the clothing brand started. And now we've, you know, developed a podcast, and our goal is to have them kind of work simultaneously.
Exactly. And if you guys want to support the podcast, if you guys want to support us and our journey in this,
buy some clothes.
Yeah, $1milliongroove.com. Check it out.
Yeah, man.